Welcome to Cashflow Diary, a podcast where we discuss business, money, real estate, and the sharing economy. As a full-time real estate investor, entrepreneur, and all-around problem solver, I have had the privilege of developing individuals into powerful business owners. And today, the focus turns towards you. Our mission is to help you build your real estate empire by leveraging strategies to grow yourself, your mind, and your wallet. Let's get started. Every one of your decisions, every one of your expenses is someone else's income. Therefore, all of your income is discretionary. And when you look at it that way, it's easier to decide where that's going to go. I'm under no obligation to give at all. I choose to. And if you try to take that from me, that's your abusive mistreatment of the relationship. I choose to give because I want to, because I can. I feel the need to give because I can. How much? That's all totally discretionary again. And in what manner I give. Because you can ask for money, but what if I choose to give you something more valuable, like an asset? I mean, because I used to do this in my presentations all the time. I would hold up a $100 bill and one gold American Eagle and ask people to choose. Which do you want? And the truth of the matter is, more times than not, people chose the $100 bill. But the gold Eagle was worth $2,000. But because it had stamped on it $50 legal tender, which it is $50 a legal tender, people thought the $100 bill was more valuable. And see, the difference is that I just gave everyone in that audience an understanding that we sometimes just do not know how valuable something is, because value is in the eye of the beholder. Well, value is not in the eye of the recipient. Now, I'm going to give you something that's useful. But my point is that the income that I've been given the ability to steward is discretionary. It's under my discretion. I'm the one who has to answer for where did it go, not you. Now, you can think you should give more. That's fine. You're entitled to your opinion. And because your opinion is, voicing it, that's your choices. And at the end of the day, where you eat, that you eat, how you eat, where you fly, first class, coach, private, or whatever. It's all discretionary. I've never met I've never met Fendi that was necessary. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like, my Hermes belts and Balenciaga from here, there, but because it feels great. They're soft and it's perfect. But it's still discretionary, if that makes sense. It's just always discretionary. And again, to be clear, I slept in my car. I've been homeless twice. I understand discretionary, right? From the top to bottom. So that's just what it is. Now we can believe ourselves. Oh no, I have to do this. No, you don't. You don't have to. You don't have to go to work tomorrow. You technically don't have to. There are consequences for that action, but to say that I have to do something is to also say that I don't have a choice in the matter. It is to let go or relinquish your power or control or ability, your autonomy, which is, again, not true. Nobody has to do anything. You don't have to have electricity or a running runner. It's all discretionary, 100% from the beginning at the top. Does that make sense now, Logan?
Well, in the Bible,
absolutely.
It's discretionary minus 10%. And they teach you in the beginning that you got to give your shit away. So
I agree. But it's still discretionary. Hold on. It's still discretionary.
Right, because you don't have to.
It's still discretionary. It's strongly suggested. You should want to do it and all of these things. That is true. It is still discretionary, because if it wasn't discretionary, you would be forced to do so. See, what's not discretionary, what you can't do, you can't choose to stop breathing. You have no choice. You're going to keep breathing until one day you don't. You can exercise some discretion over how fast you breathe, when you're breathing, how to make your breath better, but you're going to keep breathing until you don't. And giving is not, it could be compulsory. Sure. You could feel that, but it's not something. It's still discretionary is my entire point. Now, do I give? Yes. I think many of us do. How much and how often and frequently and what manners? Those are all, again, it's all discretion. But again, not giving, and it doesn't mean anything other than you choose not to. That's how I see it, and that's just how it is. But I also understand where you come from.
It's great to hear you say that because, and especially, I use the phrase "we're supposed to" for a certain reason. Like when you say discretionary, I bet you if you polled most men, they would answer and say that this is something they are supposed to do. And when they use the terminology "supposed to do," I think they look at it as non-discretionary. I think they look at it as absolutely. If I make $1, a quarter of that, at least a quarter of that, is for other people. And that is a part of my, existence, presence, and therefore I need to make purpose. There you go, purpose. And because that is true, and I'm not saying it is, but this is the way I think most men feel, that because that is true for them, that the need to make a lot of money is kind of driven by that. I think in a way.
I can hear that.
If you ask men why they got to make all this money, it's because I need to make enough money that after I give away a quarter of it, I still feel comfortable. I still get to have this, or I still get to whatever. Because I think we all pretty much sign the paperwork, as Brian says, that we getting ready to give up a quarter of every dollar we earn. That's at the very least.
Again, what's supposed to mean? What's supposed to mean? What is supposed to mean? What does that mean?
Well, I think supposed to, in society, the way it plays out is we're supposed to do this or else. And I say or else because
it's law.
Supposed to is the part where I'm just saying a quarter because I'm bad at math, but I'm supposed to give up a quarter, whatever I earn, so I can call myself a man.
I get that.
So society says,
stay with me though. What's the supposed to part? What does that mean? Don't go to the quarter. I don't care about the quarter. What does the supposed to part mean?
The supposed to part is a societal law that says if I don't do this, then I am going to be punished for it.
Okay, so now we're
supposedly comes from the consequences of not doing it.
So what supposed to means is the expectation that this is the way it is. Supposed to means there are expectations placed on me for this particular action. That's what supposed to means. But it doesn't mean that you're forced to do it.
I was just like past expectation and say mandate.
No, that's what you put on it. That's your perception. But it is expectation. You can look it up. It's the expectation. And that's the misuse of the word because we put our feelings into the word. Supposed to do it means.
So let me ask you a question because this is great. So let's take expectation and mandate for a second. Someone can have an expectation, but if that expectation has no teeth to it, then fuck them. You keep on moving.
Mm-hmm.
I use the word mandate in this conversation because absolutely, if you don't do it, there is a consequence and there's teeth to that expectation, which is why I'm calling it a mandate. As a man, earlier we were talking about, I can decide this and decide that. And of course you can, but there are going to be real life societal consequences for you being that guy. The loner who drives a Ferrari and doesn't give back. What is the picture we have, or what's the narrative we have about that rich guy as opposed to the rich guy who gives? One is positive and one is not. So, and even we don't even have to go that far to rich guys. We could say in our family. In my family, if I have more money and I don't pay for the majority of the family reunion, or I didn't chip in a larger amount for let's say we all go to dinner, right? And I don't pick up the tab. Let's do something that simple, right? Everybody know Julian the rich one sitting at the end of the table. We all ordered, and Julian didn't pick up the tab. We gonna look at you a little funny, Julian. Like, I can't believe this motherfucker sit up and let us pay for our little chicken and grits and shit. And he sitting down there. I can't believe Julian did that. We know that's right.
Yeah, but how
there's a consequence.
But that's again my point.
Not Julian's
that's
problem.
My point. Right, Logan. So here's the problem. The problem is your discomfort with how other people view you. That is, again,
there we go,
your perspective. Supposed is their expectations placed on you. The teeth is also perspective. So there's a consequence whether I do it or whether I not. Consequence is a negative thing. Consequence is what happens as a result of doing or not doing. So if the consequence is you got your arms crossed and you sucking your teeth and you mad at me because I didn't drop my card for the tab for everyone, that's affecting you. I choose if it affects me based on my perspective of what's happening. And that's the thing that we don't seem to tend to get, is that our control, our power is on shifting the perspective. Because once you shift the perspective, then the story or the narrative changes.
Can we call?
I want to keep it in words. I want to keep it in words that people understand too. Let's make sure we understand why people think this way, right? You didn't provide them the service. You didn't protect them from the service. So for me, I can't say I'm a provider and protector if the people around me aren't acknowledging me as that. That is a key issue to it, that we're not like so when we're talking, I want to make sure we talk in conversations that everybody understands. That everybody understands the purpose of this protection and providing shit. So I'm hearing Jay Massey say this. Jay Massey is saying that I don't have an obligation to be a protector and provider, and you're going to get a lot of pushback from me because what the fuck do you mean? Because that's my whole purpose of living. So how can you tell me it's discretionary if I choose to be a fucking protector or not?
I do have an obligation to be a protector, but not your protector. I get to choose.
Excuse me?
I have a choice.
What?
I have a choice over who to protect.
Yeah, that gets to the point that I think it was Assad in the chat said, because we're talking about money, but I think it's dope, to move to other things. He said, even if it's energy, I believe is what he said.
Exactly. And I get to choose how, the form of that protection. Just because you want me to protect you with dollars, that doesn't mean that's what I'm going to do. And nor does it mean I'm not a protector. I can protect you with
right.
different
Supposed,
things.
again, is expectation, right? Again, it's your expectation.
Correct.
So here's what's happening. All of these men who are supposed to be men and leaders are being led by others' expectations, which means they're not leading. I'm going to say that again. All these men and supposed leaders are being led by others'
Uh-oh. Something happened.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, something happened for a second. You're
sorry. So I get a phone call. So it's a different thing when you decide, this is my philosophy, this is what I stand on, this is the hill I'll die on, this is where I'm going. And your expectation of me can be your expectation of me because this is where I'm going. I don't have a problem with it because I give based on what I know that's important to me. I understand, I communicate. And if you, through my communication and misunderstanding, are not going in the same direction, we're just not aligned. It doesn't mean I'm bad. It doesn't mean you're bad. It just means that your expectation and your philosophies don't line up with mine. And that's okay, because you can find others that do. And I can find others that do. But neither one of us are stuck somewhere. That idea of being stuck, Logan, that's also perspective.
See, and what's interesting is that... sorry.
Really quick. No, real quick, because y'all said something that made me, y'all know me, I got to get the women engaged a little bit. So ladies, please, if you could help me out for just a second, please put a 1 in the chat if you would value a man who had the perspective that it's discretionary. I ain't got to give and all this type of shit. Everybody don't get a piece and all that, right? Or put a 2 in the chat if you find yourself to be more engaged by the man who is more generous in his giving, right? That he views his purpose, let's use that he views his purpose as one where he's supposed to be giving in that way. Do you have a choice? Do you want the guy who is more discretionary in his giving, or B, 2? Put a 1 if you want the first guy. 2 if you want the guy who he got the money and he giving it out. I know I did. I'm sorry.
But I'm gonna see while they're doing 1s and 2s, I'm about to mess you up again. While they're doing their 1s and 2s, that's still their expectation, which I don't. And I'm just saying this. Be honest. I don't give a damn whether they're 1s or 2s, or even if the majority is 1s or 2s, because as a leader, I'm going to find someone who lines up with my vision and philosophy. And it happens all the time. I was talking to Brian about this. There are weirdos on this app that say the only way you can get a woman is if you focus on your bag. But that's a damn lie, because there are homeless people that are coupled up right now at the San Diego River. They're in a relationship and neither one of them have any money. So what is it? They value something that they both value. So their world is their reality. So all the 1s and 2s can 1 and 2 all day. But the man who understands who he is, has that vision, will attract a woman who's attracted to it. And that man, ironically, doesn't care about the statistics of how many 1s and 2s there are, because the one that cares too much about that usually isn't the successful one.
And let me take this 2 more places. Remember, that I can tell you how discretionary it is. Because when I was homeless, some of y'all, I'm not saying you, but some of y'all, you know who you are. You didn't feed me. You exercised your discretion. You knew, but you did nothing about it. You knew I was sleeping in the car. You did nothing about it. And when that car blew up and I didn't have a car, that was a whole nother story. You did nothing about it, because we've all had opportunities where we've not done anything, but we've exercised our discretion because, hey, I'm not going to give this guy money at the 7-Eleven because all he's going to do is go buy liquor, is how we justify the not giving in some cases, if that's who you are. And you know who you are. But here's what I also know to be true is that the fact that you diminish and therefore, dare I say, feel entitled to my time or any resource I have, based on the simple fact that I have it. The fact of the matter is, the conscious giving, knowing that I am giving because that is the thing, you take that from me the moment you have this expectation of me giving, like, oh, that's just what he's supposed to do. You diminish that person and the sacrifice and the work that man is doing. You're not taking it. You're taking it for granted in a way that hurts and is very damaging. Because, maybe today, it's thousands of dollars per day and it looks like, oh, it's easy. He don't work. That's the joke my kids and I get for those who are around me, because I say, hey, I got to go to work. They're like, what work? What do you do? And I'm just like, okay, got it. And that doesn't mean that I didn't work and don't, because you can end up taking it for granted. And those are the things that we've got to be careful of, because we don't have the same perspective as that person. In fact, I get hit up for money, and what people should be asking me for. Here's what people should ask me for: a connection. That's what they should ask me for. You ask me for money. There's only there's a limited amount of that. And yes, but when you ask for a connection, suddenly that's a completely different thing. And now you're likely to open up even more benefit than because again, like I said, We don't understand what we're asking for half the time. More importantly, we don't understand the value of what it is that we're asking for. You may want money because you value money. And I'm trying to help you. And I'm like, money ain't going to do it. Here's what you really need. You need this over here. That's the wealth, not the currency. And it's unfortunate because if I don't meet your expectation, you call me all kinds of names. And that's fine. Been called names. But that's what you do. You call me all kinds of names. And that's part of being, this is why I tell people, look, be careful what you ask for. You might get it. And it's a big responsibility to provide jobs and housing for people. It really is. You don't be careful what you ask for because now you got to deal with that. And you've got to decide. Otherwise, they will suck you dry. And then when you're no longer relevant, don't have what they need, we'll see whose discretion it is now to come help. Right? Because it's very, very clear to me. Anyway, I think Julie and I are on the same page.
But it goes back to just, man, I'm telling you, guys, we need to have a room called definitions so that people can understand what you're saying. You're saying the value of something over the price of something, right? Because the price is just what it is today. And you're willing to pay that price today, but you didn't see the overall game plan of what you're talking about, right? So that's where I tell people, that's one thing we suck at is understanding the price versus the value of something. That's why when they come to someone who's a visionary, understands the bigger goal, the bigger game of it, people get confused by that. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, what? No, this is exactly what I need to get to where I got to go. But that's where it's going to get you today. And you're going to be back tomorrow trying to solve for the exact same problem instead of understanding what it is. And that's why, when you say connection, Jay, I say opportunity. Because opportunity is as big as you want to make it, or it's as small as you want to make it. It doesn't matter. If I say, okay, I got an opportunity for you to come in as an intern. Well, interns don't make money. I ain't got time for that. But what you didn't realize was the opportunities of connections, growth, learning for yourself, and building to set yourself up to get you where you need to be. Which one is more valuable? The $100 that I gave you, or the potential thousands of dollars of knowledge, wealth, growth, relationships that you could build off of it. But most people don't see that. We're only concerned for the now. And that's what hurts us the most because we're stuck on now. And it's always now. It's always now. It's never about building towards that.
Man, you better stop it before you're going to set me off. I'm going to start preaching in a minute because we were supposed to do our deals for experience, not profit, then later gain from that. But we don't do it that way. We misalign the experience. We think when what's ironic to me, Brian, is people will approach you, me, Logan, whoever. They will tell us what they need to get to where we are, and with confidence. Oh man, this is all I need.
With confidence, like a motherfucker.
How you gonna tell me what you need to get to a place you have never been, and all I have to do is just this, and I'll get there. I don't even understand that one.
But no, Jay, that's not even the problem, though, Jay. The problem is there's few guys like yourself, right? Because I hear it all the time. I give my man or I give whoever exactly what they're asking for. And we act like we're doing what the fuck we're supposed to be doing. You see what I'm saying? Because, Jay, the only reason why they continue to ask you these things is because that's always how it's worked for them. So then now you're saying, well, how can you do this? Because it's always been supported in that type of way. That's why they don't go past it. Then you're sitting here with something that's a little bit deeper, a little bit and profound. And they're like, yo, what the fuck is he saying? You see what I'm saying?
Yes. And what's funny here, which the opposite of that is if I give you exactly what you ask for, that's probably a sign that I don't care. And I just want you to leave me alone.
Whoa. Don't say that, Jay. Nope. Fuck that, Jay. You tripping. You out of pocket right now. Because I do care. I care enough to give you exactly what you wanted. What the fuck are y'all talking about right now? That's what most people think, right? Yeah. Like most people think about it like this. So I hear what you're saying on your side, but a lot of people are giving people exactly what they're asking for. And they feel great about it. You see what I'm saying?
Part of it is
all the time. Okay. Tell me what a man wants. I'm gonna give them exactly what they want. Go ahead.
Brian, part of it, think about it. Part of it is the selfishness or the great feeling they get in doing what is rewarded by society, right? So
that's what
someone
I'm
asks
saying.
for money. CEO's got his hands on his hips because he's toxic as hell, and he realizes I can give the money. And guess what? He also realizes giving the money really ain't shit because I got a lot of it. So now I can give the money, have everyone believe that I'm a great person. I'm doing it for myself because it makes me feel good to be looked at as powerful. And I don't really even have to help them with their problem because their problem was never the money. They just going to keep coming to me and it's going to keep feeding me and my bullshit.
Exactly.
I'm talking about I ain't talking about them people. I'm just talking about even just the average person around, man. You know what I'm saying? Because like I see it all the time, right? I have a lot of cousins who don't necessarily like me because if they need something, I'm not finna just give it to them. They know not to come to me. They know to come to me correct. And the correct way is for them to have a full understanding of what the fuck they talking about.
Right.
But 9 times out of 10, they don't come to me anymore, and they go to the least resistant spot. And so other people will support that bullshit. So it's not helping them out at all. They're just going right back into these cycles. And that's where I'm trying to wake up in the fucking room right now. So many people in here right now are thinking they're doing right by people by giving them exactly what they want without going any deeper at all.
Wow.
Understand what's going on. Like nobody, that's what I'm trying to wake up right now. Like we do that way too fucking
I get so what if there's a woman that
watch yourself.
Yeah, there's a freak. She's a freak though.
You're gonna hurt somebody's feelings right now.
She's a freak in the bed. She's a freak, like super freak, cold. Just cold with it. Steal your soul, all that. And she's giving him what he wants. And he's not getting what he needs. But he's staying with her because he's getting what he wants. The crazy thing is he'll probably stay with her over the woman who's giving him everything he needs, but isn't necessarily getting what he thinks he needs, which is just what he wants. And I find it interesting because women can oftentimes lead with that because they know that's what most men want. And men will talk about it as if they need it. But what they really need is to be supported so that they can be a great man, which is completely different than just supporting them with head and supporting them with ass. That is not the same.
Whoa, nigga, what the fuck are you talking about right now, bro? Because
you heard me.
I'm having a bad day, bro, and I need some head to relieve me. And I think that head is what's gonna make my problems go away. And
right.
Ain't nothing like some good old sloppy toppy. Or man, bro, like I feel so much better, bro, once I'm inside some pussy, bro.
Right.
Like, everything just goes away in that moment for sure. So what are you talking about? Because I feel so much better when I'm inside that pussy. You know what I'm saying?
Right. And what I'm saying is that when you're done and you get up, those problems are still there.
Waiting.
And and on top of that, your partner didn't support you on how to get to the solution of the problem. Now you feel good, but it's empty because you still got to deal with the problems. And it's basically just a feel-good distraction for a moment.
100%. And all problems accrue interest, grow larger over time. All of them. And because there's and then fellas, we know this. There's the woman you need, there's the woman you want, and there's the one you love. You just hope the one that you need is also the one that you want and love. So that is what it comes down to, is actually prioritizing, for me, the one that I need, period. And being focused on the one that I need, which is why I stopped looking at the physical, came up with a list of character traits and just hoped that it would be the one that I would want and love at the same time after all of that.
Well, Jay,
I need a certified moment, though. Did you see that, Brian?
You said what?
I even saw a woman say in the chat, but in that moment, though, which goes to the point again, fuck the moment, though. In that moment doesn't fix it. In that moment just gives me a distraction. Now I'm still fucked up going to try to figure this out on my own. And then you mad at me because I still can't figure out. But the reality is You keep trying to give me pussy when I'm saying I'm trying to figure this shit out. You keep slapping me in the head with pussy. That's not going to fix it.
Exactly. In fact, at some point, it becomes the thing I resent you for. Like, stop. You're not helping. You're actually not helping because you
well, it helped the last time, though. What do you mean? It helped last time.
Look,
no,
every
it felt
drug has
good the last time.
There's a law of diminishing returns on all of it. There's a law of diminishing returns. And there's not enough, like, and again, and fellas, I'm just thinking through, like, my ex-wife. When I lost $1.2 million, I promise you, for months, the one thing I am not thinking about is that's not going to help this problem because it was insurmountable at the time. That's what I was thinking. It's like, this is, wow. It's insurmountable because it takes an elevated level of thinking. You need to become the person that I need right now to support me through that process because my thinking had to elevate in order to be able to find a solution because problems or solutions occur at a higher level than the problem was created. And that was not it. That was not the solution that was going to make it better or go away or make you even want to perform because the only thing you're thinking about is that thing is accruing interest and getting larger the entire time because you don't know what to do.
Man, y'all cooking. I mean, I think that's true if you're a responsible guy. But what if you're not? I think
you just don't recognize the problem. It's still fucking there, though. That just, it just
right.
doesn't.
And
like,
it ties into the
change,
conversation we were having last week about I don't know if that was last week or 2 weeks ago, but coping, the difference between coping mechanisms and all those types of things. And the conversation around sex is one that always comes up. And it should come up a lot in these conversations because we're men. And of course, sex is a large part of being a man. We're so easily manipulated with these kinds of terms and roles and things. It comes to money. I was surprised that so many women put one in the chat, quite frankly.
Why would you be surprised by that?
Doing that because, again,
they're security-seeking creatures. They want to be secure.
No, so if they were, then they would have put a 2. That's what I'm saying.
You put the entire castle at risk if you're willing to give to everybody and anybody. There's a reason you have a moat.
I see what you're saying.
You only let that drawbridge down for certain people, the ones you trust and like, the ones you want to keep safe.
And it better be me in that conversation.
Yeah, it better be me.
And it better not take away from me.
In
that same conversation.
Johnson can't get no money. That money is for us.
If a woman put 2, that's like, wait a minute. Because
that's hilarious.
You can't. It's just, there's too much. The poor you will always have with you. I can't save you all. You have to participate in your own dang on rescue. Period. Now I can give you with some bait. I can give you a line. I'm going to point you in the direction of the pool or in the water. You still have to go fish. And if you're not willing to do that, then what do you want me to do? Why should I give you my fish when I'm teaching you something that's way more valuable that you can keep?
But you got all them fish piled up over there.
I
man.
sure do.
You got enough, man. Like, how could you just be like that, man? You got enough. I'm over here starving. That's the bullshit.
I know.
That's the bullshit.
Hey, Julian, I'm gonna change my PTR. This is one of the PTRs I don't use that often. There you go. Look at it. You'll understand why when you look at it.
Oh, only thing I read is that nigga rich.
Hey, what do you think about what was just said in the chat?
What
Brian?
Oh.
Which one?
The last thing that was just said.
Well, you mean giving students money?
Here's my take on just life in general. Oftentimes, people who, and I might get dragged for this, I don't even give a damn because we need to wake this shit up. Oftentimes, people look at struggle as an unnecessary thing. Now, I'm not saying that you're supposed to struggle your whole life. I'm not talking about that struggle, but a student having to figure out how to pay for what they're doing, that is the resistance that's building the muscle that could create the successful CEO later. We need to wake this shit up, man, and stop doing this to adults. Like, we're stealing their origin story.
100.
Do you guys even realize that? You're actually saying, don't lift the weight. Let me go in the gym and lift the weight for you. And then let's look 6 months down the line and see if your ass has muscles.
No, they hold the
Do you realize that
they'll have
shit
muscles.
does not, right? Do you realize that doesn't work in the real world? Because you could give them all of that, but then they never built that muscle. So when they go out in the real world and try to have success, it kind of looks like it does now. They try it for 2 seconds, it doesn't work, and they quit. Why? Because everything's being given in that way instead of thinking, how can I figure out a way to have them be challenged to solve it? I'm sorry. I'm a little bit passionate about that because I see it all the time. I see it, the kids that go to my daughter's school. I see the difference between them. As much as I could solve the problems for my daughter, I let her go through the challenge of solving it. I don't let her get to a point where she's gonna be hurt, but I let her solve those things and we chop it up about it. Because if I give her all of it, she will never have the idea to even try to solve it on her own. Do we really not see this?
Yo, hold on. I have a quick question. I just joined guys not too long ago. Can somebody reset the room? I just want to follow along what you guys have been talking about, please.
Did you watch the link at the top? The video at the top? Yeah, click the video.
Okay.
Watch the video and Steve Harvey talking about success from a specific angle. And we're talking about survivor's remorse. But watch the video first.
All right, we'll do. Thanks.
Hey Julian, there's a new show on Netflix right now that's exactly that, where a bunch of, we'll say, entitled 20 to 25-year-olds are sent into the wilderness and say, "Oh Lord," sorry, I'm laughing because they literally are arriving in Gucci and Fendi and Balenciaga and got their wigs, everything, and then they get paired up with the two survivalists and are told to make it. It is some of the most hilarious stuff on the planet. But as the season goes by, you get to see some of them actually step up and go, okay, I am going to meet this, challenge and learn to start fire or swim and fish and go get my own food. It was hilarious, but it speaks exactly to what you're talking about because it was definitely challenging. I watched it with my daughters. It was, we had all kinds of fun because they were just like, what? How could they be that way? And I'm like, yeah, how could they be that way? So it was pretty good.
Jay, I just did a masterclass this morning on self-discipline and being non-negotiable. And this is my point, man. You ask anybody that's been extremely successful if they've had support and help, they'll say yes. They never stopped they didn't. Most people that have success know how to ask for support or help. They're not asking for someone to do it for them. There's a difference. And being non-negotiable is understanding that when you committed to that deal, when you signed a contract to do whatever you do, you're not going to allow the thoughts in your mind to move you out of that direction. If you have a challenge, you're looking for a solution, not a savior. I'm going to say that again. When you have a challenge, you're looking for a solution, not a savior. Why do successful people lean into challenges? Because they understand that challenges are the underbelly of the blessings in your life. It's by working through the challenge that you get the skill that allows you to look back at your life differently. Without the skill, let's say you had the money, but it didn't come from you being challenged. Then you don't have the skill, aka discernment, to look at making decisions that are going to generate in more of that income. You will lose it as quickly as you got it because you never developed the skill to keep it.
So one of those skills, because I want to tie it back to the mental and emotional part of it. One of those skills, I think, is being able to, I'm asking the question, would you guys agree that one of those skills is being able to decide and reconcile yourself with the fact that there's going to be pushback or judgment, or there's going to be a negative story that may be told about you if you are a man of means and you decide to exercise the discretion that Jay's talking about as you see fit. Again, the object of having this conversation is for us to leave it better than we came in. And I think there are a lot of things that are getting, that are blowing me away in this conversation from you guys and from the women. I'm getting some messages from the women, and this is very interesting to me. And I don't know if they're just saying that because they in here right now, or maybe, but Jay did kind of point out a thing to me that I think that's very true, that they come from that angle of this is ours and I don't want you to be giving it away to everybody. But at the same time, like the identifying marker before they get to know you is that you are generous, that you are not giving it away irresponsibly, but that you are showing that you have it and you are in some ways giving. Right?
Yeah, but you don't have to give it all away, Logan, in order to prove that you have it. Period. I can give.
Of course.
But so why?
But what is all away? This is why I say
my point. Right? That's the all away is the same thing as discipline. You can take it with any resource. Because this is something, again, if you're going to live an asset-based lifestyle, the other thing you're going to have to discipline is your time. You have to do this. You know you've got to practice. You know when you need to go on vocal rest. You know this. This is not It's not optional for you. And so therefore, every word you choose to utter through your throat is discretion. Do you see what I'm saying? You don't have to talk today, but you are talking today. And yet it's the same instrument that you are going to use later to earn income with. So, but it's your discretion. But see, no one gets, and has anyone ever gotten upset with you for being on vocal rest? And you're like, man, I can't talk right now. I have to type. What are you talking about? How could yes, it's no different.
Absolutely.
It's the same thing. But you can't just talk to everybody when they want to, because that's their, I've been calling you for 3 days. How come you can't call me?
But you know what the angle of it is? Then they use that as, again, an indicator of, right? Like, I'm on vocal rest. You call me 10 times. And then when I pick up the phone, you use that as a way to say, he must really care about me because he has this conversation with me, even though he's on vocal rest. Or in this conversation, he must really love me. I can tell this man loves me because he gives me this discretionary spending you're talking about, like that. He has this money. He uses it on me. Therefore, I can say that he loves me. Right. Or even with the one that's even more expensive is time. That's the one I'm far more.
There you go.
That's the one I'm far more sensitive to. Right. What I do with my time is very, very important to me. And that's the easiest way to trigger me. So, but especially when you're talking about women, they will often push that button. Like they want to be able to leverage you in that way so they can use it as an indicator. So I just think it's important. Like, and the more successful you become, the less, I don't know, depends on how you get the money. But sometimes you will have less time, the more money you earn. But unless you Jay Massey, you make the money sitting around, you know what I'm saying?
Here we go. That doesn't, anyway, my point is I didn't say any of that. What I'm saying though is that doesn't absolve you of it being misused against you, because I have received messages that well, if you're the man I think you are, or if you're the man you claim to be, then you would, whatever, fill in the blank. Usually write a check for something, but if that makes sense. And that phrase is something we've got to all hear, because there's a resource that you have in abundance that somebody wants access to, or AKA feels entitled to access to, which is why it's discretionary. You're not entitled to it. I can choose to give it to you, share some of it with you, but why should I? Maybe I don't want to, and at the end of the day, if I choose to, that doesn't mean I will again. And it doesn't make me any more or less greater than what I've always been. But you got to stand on that and be willing to deal with all of the heat.
It's that if you're the man I think you are part that is really, or if you're the man you say you are, it's that kind of shit, man. What's up, Robinson?
No, I was saying I just look at it. One statement is I can't please everybody. So if I can't please everybody, I'm going to do what's good for me, what works for me, and how it can benefit me. Now, as you guys says, discretionary, if I want to go out of my way to do something for somebody else. But I always grew up, my mom always told me, you can't please everybody. It doesn't matter if you do good, bad, evil. You walk on this planet, you will never please everybody. Even if you feel you are doing good, there will always be somebody there to tell you, yo, why you not doing this? How come you didn't do this? And mind you, you're the one that pushed so hard to get this stuff done, but you're being ridiculed for how hard you work for it, right? Like, I feel like a lot of the stuff that I'm going through is building me up for the next season in my life for me to do what needs to be done. So I can't look at a situation in my season right now as a negative thing. That's the first thing I'll be thinking about, but I should also remember that what I'm going through is going to build me for the next season coming up. So that's how I look at it. I can't please people, but my negatives that I'm going through are going to become positives, because if I look at it in a way where I'm like, yo, this happened, what can I get out of it? Then let me do it this way for me to become a better person. But as I'm doing that, even if you have somebody to support you, it's not all the time they're going to be there to support you, because they feel like you're getting past them. You should be in the same circle as them. Everything you guys said is the same way I feel. But mine is, I can't please everybody. And F what you guys think about me. I'm going to have to do what I need to do. Because if I continue to think about what you think about me, then how am I going to get further where I want to be? That's the way I look at it.
Yeah, but what do you do when they throw you the parade, though? Like, I'm saying, there's two sides to it. There is of course, yeah. When I come to you, Jay, and I say, man, let me borrow $40. Then you give me the $40, and then I run around and tell everybody how great of a man you are because you gave me the $40. Okay. And then somebody else comes along and they ask you for some bread, and then you give it to them, and then they go and spread the good word about how great of a man you are because you gave them the bread, right? We can get prepared for leeches because that's negative. You know what I mean? It's easy to say, look at that terrible person that's just dragging off me, right? But I'm talking about being mentally prepared for having the success, having the excess, and then giving, because this narrative does exist. I mean, y'all are some very advanced men, but for me, my father didn't have to say it to me. My grandfather didn't have to say it to me. I watched him do things for other people. I watched him provide for other people. I watched him be a community person. Again, my father was my principal from the 6th grade till I graduated from high school. But he was Mr. Houston for a lot of other children before I even existed. And so by the time I got around and became conscious of it, my understanding of just him and my grandfather and what it means is to do those, to give a ride to a kid whose parent didn't show up to pick them up from school, to buy lunch for the kid who didn't have lunch money, to buy cleats for the kid who didn't have cleats for like all that type of shit, right? And we can say, oh, he's a good guy, cool. And of course he is, right? But what I'm saying is once the good guy narrative or the provider narrative starts to become a thing, it's a part of us. And then one day I get to hear him say, oh, damn, I get to hear him bitching about it. And then it creates this conflict, right? Which one am I? Do I be the guy who overextends himself? Can I be both at the same time? Am I obligated? Is there a roadmap for this? Can I get mentally prepared for having extra, giving the extra, and then being celebrated for it? Does that mean I don't get to complain about it later? Like, how do we work this out? because we're talking about the leeches. It's easy to fend off that part of the conversation. But I'm saying when people throw you a parade for giving beyond what maybe even you should be giving, how do we deal with that?
I just give more, but differently. More, but differently. For example, one of the things in the business, like I've said before, is there is a path inside of the companies for someone to start completely homeless for free. That part is there intentionally because I know that I still have given you something, right? You may have wanted something that has, first of all, you probably asked for something that has way more value or price than you think, it does. And instead of being able to give that, because that's, I think that's what you're saying, because I have given time to people where, it's a 45-minute call, this, that, and the other. And instead of being able to give that, I'm like, well, I can't do that, but here's what I can do. I'm always prepared to give something to someone at all times in some manner or form. And that meets, whatever the need is. So, but that was done intentionally so that because here's what happened for me is that I kept getting a whole bunch of, I can't believe you want money and you remember what it was like when you were homeless and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah. And I also remember what I did to not be anymore. Your turn here, So, and I just I developed extra resources specifically to address that concern and found ways to still be so that I could give, but give in a way that did not necessarily cost the thing that you were asking, but ultimately was really more beneficial than what you were asking for. And that's where, we just have to find a way to give what we can with what we have. And like I said, you got to still keep that moat up, right? And let that drawbridge down. There's nothing that entitles me that requires me to give without requiring something from you. I have no problem giving. Here's what I need you to do. I need you to go give me your email address. I have no problem giving. Here's what I need you to do. Before you come to me, go talk to your husband and see if y'all can't have a real conversation. Before I get out, I can totally help you with that. Do me this favor, though. Go get me a list of 15 banks that you've already talked to first. See, I can give, but I can also require because you're asking me for something. So I want to see sometimes, are you even worthy of what it is that you're asking for? Or are you just going to waste it? Because I cannot give pearls to everybody. I just can't. No matter how much pearls you think I have, because that's the other thing. You think my numbers mean I have an unlimited number to give. I don't. And it's only because you just don't know what it means or from my perspective. If you've never been at 30,000 feet, it sounds like, oh, well, you should be fine. You should be able to see everything. When in fact, you can barely see anything because you're so daggone high. You don't know what the price of bread is. And I don't know what the price of bread is. So it's stuff like that. Right. And it's just different. And we do it from our own perspective, from our limited vantage point and with our expectation. And that's the thing that we have to be open to hearing is that, what I'm asking for may not be what I need. And I might receive something slightly different than what I asked for. But it's when we discount it and go, oh man, he was stingy, this, that, and the other. That's when we probably missed out on yet another blessing that we could have had, but for our limited perspective.
Yeah, I love that. That word stingy gonna come up. You're gonna get called stingy, damn it.
I be called stingy, greedy, a swindler. I done lost track of all the names. I just done lost track.
Right.
And thank you for telling me that bread is $3 because I legit didn't know. Somebody did that in the chat. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I didn't know either, but for different reasons. One of the questions that popped up to get back to the video, one of the things that stood out for me was, even though Steve Harvey is like joking in the video, he's not joking. He's serious, but he's cracking jokes. He's being Steve Harvey. There was a undertone of anger to his commentary, or at the very least frustration. Right? There was a little bit of like resentment there. Like, these motherfuckers will not. What does my car have to do with you having a job? Like, you could the frustration in his voice was very present. And so when we're having this, mental health conversation, I think this one of the things I wanted to unpack was like being prepared for that frustration. I wanted that. What you just said made me think to ask you this question. Is this that skill set that you're talking about, that being able to say no and be okay with people calling you stingy and all these things? Was this something that you got early on, or is this something that took some time? Did you have to take some of those lumps on the way up? Because even if we're not talking about money, right, we could be talking about time. For me, it's time. Yeah. I get very frustrated with people trying to dictate to me what I'm supposed to be doing. I don't give a damn if it was 5 minutes, ma'am. If I don't call you, I just don't call you. So you should take the phone call that much more. You should love that phone call that much more, because what I'm going to do with these 5 minutes, these is my 5 minutes. You know what I mean? But I guess that's my question. I don't know. Was it something that you had early on in the process? How long did it take you to develop that skill or thick skin? Where did you pick that up?
Well, what I can remember, the first things that people started tripping over was I had an executive assistant. So they would see me in person and I'd be like, cool, I need you to talk to my EA. She'll be able to schedule that. And people were butthurt. Like, why can't I just talk to you? Because how come I can't get your number? Because you won't leave it alone. Then I will never get anything done. And yeah. So if that was one of the first areas I had to learn it, and people were upset with me, but I kept it. It was all about the math. It's like, if I spend all my time going back and forth with you and trying to reply to every one of your text messages, I'm not going to be able to get the next deal done. I'm not going to be able to help the next family. That's just all it was about. But there were some people who today still don't talk to me as much because of that. And that hurt their feelings because they felt entitled. They felt they should be able to call me when they wanted to. Now, I didn't do that to my mom before y'all get all upset. Okay. My mom's got the bat phone number. She's always had the bat phone number. Get straight to me. But still, I had to learn that. I didn't like that. That was uncomfortable. But there was something that one of my mentors said to me many years ago. He said, Jay, you have to decide, especially you, because you care about people. He was very vehement about it. He's like, you have to decide whether you want to be liked or respected, because you're not going to be both. I'm like, what do you mean? Because I wanted everybody, to like me. Right. And he's like, if you're liked, you might do okay, but if you're respected, you'll be able to help a lot of people. I'm like, okay, cool. What does that mean? That means you're going to have to learn to tell people no and mean it, not no. And here's the back door. And that's basically what it came down to, is understanding that whether it was time, whether it was money, whether it was knowledge, all of these things, I chose to find a way to say yes to. How can I say yes to the most number of people? That's why I originally wrote my book. It's because I kept getting the same questions. I didn't know I physically couldn't answer everybody. So I had to figure out who could I say yes to and actually pick up the phone for? And because I have a finite amount of energy and resources. That's why the podcast is the podcast, because I have a finite amount of energy and resources. And unfortunately, not everybody understands that, but that's not my problem. And that's what I had to learn, that it wasn't my problem. It was their expectation, is what Julian was saying. And I had to be okay. I chose to be okay with their expectation being less than what I knew to be true. Because after that, I went into a phase of trying to, no, you don't understand. I'm this. I got all these things over here for you. But because it didn't meet their expectation, it didn't matter. Because I went into trying to prove that, no, I am a nice guy. That I did that for a while. And then eventually it got to the point where, I just don't care. Because y'all going to be upset at me, yell at me, call me what you want to call me anyway. And none of y'all are paying any of these bills. So let me find a way to that I can live with. What can I live with? I'm like, okay, this is good enough for that. This is good. And that's how I got to be able to stay focused on what I wanted to stay focused on and have control over my time back, because everybody felt entitled to it and got upset if I didn't give it to them. So, which is why today there are very few people who have my like actual phone number. Right. And that's intentional, because I know what happens. I know what happens on the other end of that. It's like, I can't see something as simple as a phone number. I can't give access to everyone at the same level. But that's also why I'm on Clubhouse, is because here I don't have to charge you. Because here I don't have to charge you. Here I can do different things. And I had to learn how to do all of that. And it was all painful. Lots of crying, but they don't understand me, mom, conversations, and lots of decisions upon who I was going to be, what that Massey last name was going to eventually mean, and how it was going to get established. That's just, it was not, I got nobody in front of me, no generations in front of me that I could call and say, hey, how do we handle this? I have a PhD, public high school diploma. There was no college course that I was given, nothing. And so it's like everyone that works for me, though, went to college, which I think is funny. But, it is what it is. So it's all been learning continuously.
That's dope. I mean, and shout out to the new guys on stage. Teddy, what it do? Man, like this thing about getting prepared for success, that's the thing that's kind of sticking out to me right now. Just a quick reset. Welcome to the address. Let's talk men's mental health discussion. It's like 4:00 Central Time. This conversation starts at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time every Tuesday. And we talk about a lot of different things, and we talk about them through the perspective of men. And so there's a video there. If you click the link, there's a video of Steve Harvey's talking about success and some of the ramifications of success. And he makes some comparisons. And some things stuck out to me, like I said before, like his frustration, even though he's telling jokes about it, that stood out to me because I've experienced it before. Also, his drawing this connection to, he makes this joke about, what does my car have to do with you not having a job? That stuck out to me. There's also this thing about the community at large, or family, because he was saying, be the CEO and take your ass to the family reunion and see what happened. Like that, that kind of thing. Again, things that I've experienced before. You go to that family reunion. My family's from a little town in Texas, so it's not a lot going on. And I have cousins who literally was like, "Well, you don't know how I feel because you rich," like this type of shit. And I never had to have that conversation. I was an adult, and to have another grown man say that to me made me have to have a comment, because I'm not rich, by the way. I'm broke. If anybody's asking, I'm broke. But to have that internal conversation.
You rich.
Yeah, as far as they're concerned, I was rich. And to have this weird negotiation with myself about, all right, who do I allow even the access to the visual? Like I had to get that deep with it, where it was even the visual is enough to make people start to make all kinds of judgments and have these expectations. That's a word that popped up in our discussion today. Expectations being a big thing. And then judgment. And so, Julian helped me out today and boiled this whole conversation down to something called survivor's remorse. And so, like, we can get prepared. We can get the right accountant. We can get the right location for our business. We can get the right paperwork. We can know what loans to get. We can do all that stuff. But we seldom, if ever, have a conversation about what we need to do mentally and emotionally to prepare us for this bag that everybody is chasing. After you get the bag and the Gucci belt and motherfuckers start pulling on your heartstrings because you got them.
Why are you stuck on Gucci, though? I still need you to get off Gucci.
Because Gucci is one of the goofiest looking. It's one of the funniest designer brands out there to me. It's just funny.
Okay. So, Logan, what you're talking about is, the thing about it is this is what kills me. What'll help you when you're poor, help you when you're rich. And what's missing when you're poor is missing when you're rich. This all boils down to boundaries. If you learn healthy boundaries, when you get rich, you don't have these problems. You won't have them when you're poor. But when I deal with my patients, I'm just like, they're like, well, I don't understand this. I'm like, you got poor boundaries. And I'll explain it, right? Let's deal with this. Say that you have a pile of money that you say is your money. But when people come up there, they can reach in and take it as they please. Are they ever going to respect it as just your money? No. And it's not because it's not your money. It's because you've allowed them access to it. How is it your money if they have just equal access to you to it as you did? So you set a poor boundary. But if your money is in a bank and you got an account and a PIN number that they can't have, they know to get the money, they have to come through you because you set that boundary, whether you realize it or not. This is my money. I'm the only one who has access to it. So they know, and you know that they recognize the boundary because they'd be like, yo, can I borrow some money from you? Can I get this from you? And what we don't realize is a majority, and when I say majority, I would say 80 to 90% of problems that people have dealing with each other is because they've not been taught and they do not know how to practice healthy boundaries. That is it. Once I teach boundaries to patients, I don't have to go tell them what to do with their family. They come back like, yo, I did A, B, and C. How you feel? I feel great. Why? Because that's what needed to be done. Because the thing about it is we're looking at it emotionally, or this, that, and the other, psychologically. It's a boundary. And once you understand the boundaries, you respect boundaries, you don't care. Like, for instance, if somebody tried to break into a facility that was guarded by an electric fence, and they're like, yo, man, I tried to break in and I got electrocuted and shot. And then we like, what you tried to break in? Oh, man, a nuclear plant. Well, yo, dumbass, what'd you expect? We ain't gonna feel no pity for him. We're not gonna feel anything for him. Like, dude, you should have known not to do that. But the thing about it is we understand that boundary was commensurate with what it was able to protect. So you get what you get. But most of us, what's the boundary between us and our family? What's the boundary between a partner and our emotional availability?
All right, everyone. I'm Jay Massey, and I want to thank you for listening to this episode of the Cashflow Diary podcast. If you'd like to keep the conversation going, head over to CashFlowDiary.com to sign up for our email list. Check out all of the links and resources in the show notes. Thank you again. Until next time.